With the start of the new year comes New Year's resolutions, many of which are about our money. And so a lot of you are focused on debt and getting out of debt. So in this video, I'm going to walk through how my wife and I got out of credit card debt using 0% credit cards. Hey everybody, my name is Rob Berger. This is the Financial Freedom Show, where we talk about investing, retirement, and financial freedom. If those topics are of interest to you, I encourage you to subscribe to the channel. I also send out a weekly newsletter every Sunday morning. You can subscribe to the newsletter with the link below this video. So I thought with the start of the new year, everyone's focused on getting their finances in shape. One of those things is getting out of debt, particularly credit card debt, which can really set us back with high interest rates. And my wife and I had credit card debt back in the day, and we used 0% credit cards, mainly 0% balance transfer credit cards, to help us get out of debt. It does two things. One, it of course reduces the amount of interest you pay, hopefully to 0%. But it also helps you get out of debt faster because all the money you're putting towards your payments is going to the principal and not to interest payments. So with that, what I want to do is walk through four sort of key things to keep in mind with 0% credit cards. Then I'm going to walk through a number of examples of credit cards that I think are particularly good if you're trying to get out of debt, and also some strategies on how to use them. So to start with, I want to talk about four key things to keep in mind with balance transfers. The first is you can't transfer a balance from one card to another if they're both issued by the same bank. So if you have, I don't know, say a Citibank credit card with high interest debt on it, you can't transfer that to a new Citibank card. You'll have to get a card from a different issuer like Chase or Capital One. And in fact, we'll look at a number of cards from different issuers for that reason. The second thing to keep in mind is the credit limit you're going to get, which you generally don't know ahead of time. You may have $10,000 in credit card debt you want to transfer. You apply to that perfect 0% balance transfer card issued by a different bank, and they give you $7,000 in credit, not enough to cover the $10,000 in debt. You just kind of keep that in mind. That's just the reality. When my wife and I were getting out of debt, I would have 2 or 3 different balance transfer cards that I was using at the same time. That's just sort of the way it has to work in some cases. The third thing to keep in mind is that balance transfer cards have what's called a balance transfer fee. It's a fee you have to pay to transfer your balance. The standard in the industry is 3%, although as we'll see, there are some that charge as much as 5%. Now, as compared to say 20% or more of interest on high interest credit card debt, the transfer fee is still a good deal, but I think generally you want to try to avoid those 5% cards. We'll look at actually a couple of them. You want to avoid those if you can. And I'm also going to cover one strategy that you can use to actually avoid the transfer fee altogether. The fourth and final thing that we have to focus on is the length of the 0% offer. How long does that 0% last? What we generally find in the industry is it's either 12 months, 15 months, 18 months, or 21 months. Those are sort of the industry standards. And when you hear that, you think, well, Rob, this doesn't seem hard. Don't we just want to go with 21 months? Well, not always. And in fact, let's take a look at it now. I'm going to pull you over to this page. This is a page from allcards.com, which is a website that I own. And we track hundreds and hundreds of credit cards, including 0% cards. And the first one I want to show you is this one from Citibank. It's well known as a balance transfer card. In fact, it's the only thing this card does. It doesn't have a sign-up bonus, doesn't have any cashback rewards, no travel rewards. You basically get this card if all you want to do is a balance transfer. But you'll see I've got highlighted down here, the transfer fee on this card is 5%. So that's not ideal. Yes, you get 0% for 21 months. And yes, this would be a better deal than continuing to pay 15 or 20 or 25% on high interest credit card debt. But still, if we could, we'd rather not have to pay 5%. That's a lot of money on a $10,000 transfer. You're paying $500 right up front. So what are the alternatives? And I want to actually look at a number, and I'll leave I'll leave links to all of these below the video as well as to this page. So let's start with Chase. So one of the Chase cards that I like for balance transfers is the Freedom Unlimited. And you'll notice you get 0% on both purchases and balance transfers. That's actually important because we can use the 0% on purchases as a way to affect what I'll call a balance transfer, and I'm putting that in air quotes, a balance transfer without the balance transfer fee. We're going to come back to that at the end of the video. But for balance transfers, you can see it's 15 months. And you get a lot of other cashback rewards beyond that. So this is a great card that you can use not only for the balance transfer, but once you've got that all paid off, it could be used as an ongoing cashback credit card. It's a very good card. One of the things you'll notice that we track on this site is approval data. We get this from publicly available sources. It'll show you the person's credit score, the date they got the card, their credit limit. Now, keep in mind that credit cards use a number of different factors for underwriting, not just your credit score. But it does give you at least some idea of past approvals, and we also track folks that have been denied. But again, keep in mind, 758 for this card would be more than enough to qualify for it. But again, they look at other factors, including income and other debt and so forth. So keep that in mind. But that's data that I think might be able to help you. So that's the first card I wanted to look at. Chase Freedom Unlimited. I think it's a really good option from Chase. Let's go to the next one, Capital One. Again, I'm going to cover cards from each of the major issuers. This is very similar. It's 0% for 15 months on both balance transfers and purchases. This offers a sign-up bonus, $200. So the nice thing about that is, let's imagine you transfer $10,000 at 3%. That would cost you $300. If you also qualified for the sign-up bonus, you'd get $200 of that back. Now, keep in mind that this is $500 on purchases to qualify for this bonus. The balance transfer itself doesn't qualify for sign-up bonuses. That's true of all credit cards that I'm aware of. So when you transferred your balance, you'd have to have enough credit limit left that you could make the $500 in purchases over 3 months to qualify for it. You wouldn't actually need another $500 in credit limit. Let's say you had $300. If you used it the first month and paid it off and then used that again the second month, you'd end up qualifying for the sign-up bonus. But important, keep that in mind. And again, this is a good 1.5% cashback card. So a good card to consider beyond just the balance transfer. All right, Amex. Amex is not known for their balance transfer offers, but as you can see, they do have some. This is the Blue Cash Everyday card. It's a no annual fee card, as are the first two we looked at. Again, the same 15 months, both on purchases and balance transfers. And again, another all-around good credit card, 3% on supermarkets, although there is an annual limit. There's another 3% on some select categories, also 3% on cash on gas stations. So I think an all-around good card. Also has what American Express calls a welcome bonus. They don't call it a sign-up bonus. They call it a welcome bonus. So there's up to $250. You can see the details there. So I think this is another good option. Now with Citibank, probably the best balance transfer offer is the Citi Double Cash Card. A lot of their cards, as we saw, the first one charges 5% balance transfer fee. This card does not. This charges 3%. And by the way, you can see the approval data that we see here. A lot more denials than approvals, but an all-around really good card. The one thing that you want to keep in mind with this card is that in order to qualify for the 3% balance transfer fee, you've got to initiate the balance transfer within a set period of time. But again, I think for most people looking for a balance transfer, you're going to do it as part of the application process, so it shouldn't be an issue. All right, US Bank, another good all-around cashback card that offers, as you can see here, 0% on purchases and balance transfers for 15 months. Again, comes with a sign-up bonus, which can cover at least a big part of the balance transfer fee, depending on the amount you transfer, and it's got great cashback rewards. So again, another option that you could use beyond just the balance transfer, and with all of the other cards, no annual fee. So I kind of gone through these quickly. I do have one more to show you, and the strategy that I promised you. As we looked at, all of these cards have balance transfer fees. There really aren't no transfer fee cards. They can pop up from time to time. They used to be more prevalent in the industry than they are today. But here's the deal. You can actually use the 0% on purchases to effectively achieve a balance transfer without paying the fee. Here's the deal. As we saw, these cards offer 0% not only on balance transfers, but on purchases. Here's the deal. With purchases, there's no fee. If you go out to a store, say a grocery store, and you spend $300 on groceries, that purchase is going to benefit from the 0% for 15 months. just like a balance transfer would. But on purchases, there's no extra fee like there is with a balance transfer. By the way, the reason behind that is because the merchant, the retailer, has to pay the bank a fee for each transaction on that card. So effectively, the grocery store or the gas station or the utility company, wherever you use your credit card, they're actually paying the fee for you, is what's kind of happening behind the scenes. But the point for us is there's no fee for purchases. But you might say, well, okay, that's great, Rob, but how does that help me with this high interest credit card debt that I want to get rid of? Well, let's use a specific card as an example. This is the Citi Custom Cash Card. I really like this as a cashback card. It's a rotating 5% card, but unlike other rotating 5% credit cards, you don't actually have to select the category, and it's not quarterly, it's monthly. And what Citibank does is they'll simply apply the 5% each month to whatever eligible category you charge the most to. So they'd kind of do it for you and give you the sort of the best possible outcome. As you can see, it's 0% on purchases and balance transfers for 15 months. The problem with this card is, as with many other Citibank cards other than Double Cash, the balance transfer fee is 5%. So here's the way I would use this card to effectuate a no-fee balance transfer. And by the way, it would work with any card that offers 0% on purchases for, say, 15 months, like the other ones we looked at. Is I would take my regular monthly charges. So let's imagine I've got my high interest credit card debt over here, but on a monthly basis, I use a different card for groceries and gas and utilities and so forth. And but I pay it off in full. So what I would do is I would get a 0% on purchases card, like the Citi Custom Cash Card or any of the others we looked at. I would start using it for my regular monthly purchases that I would normally pay in full at the end of the month. But instead, I would take the money I would have put on that card and pay it on my card with the high interest debt that I'm trying to get rid of. So what happens is you're sort of slowly, month by month, transferring the money effectively from that high interest credit card debt, as that balance goes down and down each month, over to this new card that's 0% on purchases for 15 months. So yes, it doesn't happen immediately, depending on how much you put on the card each month and how big your debt is on the high interest card. It may take a month, it may take 3 months. I suppose if it takes a really long time, because you've got a lot of high interest credit card debt, then this strategy may not be the best for you, or perhaps you use it in conjunction with a different 0% balance transfer card that only charges 3%. But what happens over time is you're slowly moving that high interest debt to this new card with 0% on purchases for, in this case, 15 months. There's no fee for doing that. Of course, you have to make your minimum payment on the new card every month. That's true even if you used a balance transfer card. And you get the benefit of a balance transfer without the fee. Again, it just takes a little bit longer. It's a little more work involved, but it is a strategy to consider. Well, there you go. That's basically how we did it. We didn't use that 0% on purchases strategy that I mentioned, but frankly, when we were getting out of credit card debt, and this is 10 or 15 years ago, they actually had a lot more no fee balance transfer offers than they do today. But even at 3%, it's a great deal as compared to 15 or 20 or even higher interest rates that some credit card companies charge. So there you go. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I'll be happy to help you out any way I can. And until next time, remember, the best thing money can buy is financial freedom.